Hey everybody, and welcome to Harmonic Defiance. This is actually my first video, and this basically Harmonic Defiance for light workers or renegades. This is not gonna be a typical light worker, benevolent kind of thing. I think the time has come. I think the signal flare has gone up. But I'll take a minute to introduce myself. But we're really just I'm gonna be talking about what's going on in the galaxy right now, as what's coming into my head through my third eye, my ancestors, the vibration that I carry, the lifelong study. And I do know that I am an Ascended Master. There is absolutely no denying it. And because of that, and because of the burning of Notre Dame, which I actually know as a symbol that the cabal has fallen, that I decided to start this channel right away to help other people, because I believe that there are millions of us down here and we're wondering what all this stuff is. We can't make heads or tails of the world. And inside of us, we know there's something more, and we know that we're here for a purpose, and we just don't understand how it is all lost. So this is my first video. This is going to be called Harmonic Defiance 101. For renegades. I'm not talking about people that want to come in and invocate this and that. That's wonderful. Mindfulness is a great thing to do. But if you are an Ascended Master, what you really want right now is some really hard truth about where we're at, what happened. And I don't arrive at this by myself. I consult the internet. Wikipedia is amazing. The people that are channeling in messages right now are absolutely necessary. This is a universal galactic council message, period. I don't identify with anyone, and I'm going to talk about how things happened and how we got here. The galaxy is not one race. It's not one planet. It's millions and millions. You can't see that far, and you can't imagine that high. I had to go into insanity to find the other side of the veil. And as a result, when I come back and I listen to people with PTSD like myself, I find that often the Ascended Masters will describe exactly what I described. Notre Dame is the cabal that has just been busted wide open. They built these things and killed mercilessly the children of God all over this planet, and exterminated and tried to exterminate us. This is why they keep trying to say pure blood, pure blood. But I'm here to say today that the control has transferred. It's coming not out in me, but the last 6 or 7 2-hour presentations that have been put online as well. We are not alone anymore. We are together. All systems are online. The secrets of our birthright are now being revealed. It's never been exposed, and we've never had this amount of direct energy impacting the earth all at once, as people start to wake up all over this planet and take control of their destinies. And by channeling their energies, they are actually restoring all the connections to your Akash, to the grid. When people find out, humanity finds out what was stolen and what was plundered and what was taken as our birthright through weapons of mass destruction and carnage from the real Exodus, when half of our families had to leave the planet, in chariots of fire, ascending to the heavens. These are the people that ran rescue missions for humanity, because when Earth was created, it was in the center of the galaxy. It was easy to get to, and all of the universe contributed to the creation of Earth. Everybody was here, and everybody was represented. What they did here, they did throughout the galaxy. If you can't see that far, then you're not listening to the right channel. When I went insane in 2016, I have severe PTSD and borderline personality disorder. I found out that I was tested to the extremes. As that, I found out that a lot of the light workers and ascended masters on the earth are suffering the same way that I am. I know what the soul recycler is. I know how they took 90% from God and 90% of our energy and funneled it into their pockets, leaving pennies for God and us, because we are the Ark of the Covenant. We are the Tree of Life. There are no secrets. But because we have free will, we had to find our way out, and now the energy is right. We've accelerated beyond anything that anybody throughout the galaxy has ever seen before. And if you go on and you look around, you will see people that are out there talking about their ascension, how they're doing it. They're getting outdoors, they're living in vans, they're living anywhere that they have to restore the direct connection, our birthright to God, that there is everlasting life for everybody on this planet, period. It is not a franchise. It's why we were all here. It's why the planet was created. It's why the meek shall inherit the earth. This was a creation of God's own majesty. And when you understand God's majesty in 5D, 6D, or whatever you want to call it, you are going to be one pissed off God yourself, because you are a God, small g. I am, you are. We are all one. Right now, I decided to do this as a urgent kind of message. I'm going to go as fast as I can, but typically I talk a long time, and this message will go to the people that need to hear it. And these are Renegade Ascended Masters. This is not, I call it Harmonic Defiance 101, but this is not for people that don't understand and have not studied and taken the time to read a number of texts, to be online searching for that answer constantly. Why am I here? Why do I have these things in my life? Why have I survived these things in my life? We're talking about the people that have had troubled lives, traits, alcoholism, abuse, can only tell the truth, betrayal, mental illness, dysfunctional, non-conforming, worthless, missionless. They say that we owe everything to this man, Jesus Christ, but I'm going to tell you, Christ is in us all, and that's what they don't want you to know. And in fact, they describe Jesus as acting so unruly that if any Christian did it, that they would automatically be excommunicated. He was not the person. He was a renegade. He was not the person that they describe him to be. Period. Right now, what we're seeing is the earth melt down, but this is good. Trump has thrown us into warp drive. The world is throwing us into warp drive. This is not a bad thing. This is actually signs of very good things to come, but we all have to figure out why we're here, and it's so personal and so majestic. Your birthright is so beautiful. It's the reason that spiritual warriors need to go to war. And if you understand where we're at as ascended small g gods, nobody can see big G. Big G is exactly what we all think Big G is. But he did love us, but he didn't send his son, because we all have that divinity within us. That's what they said. They said that we couldn't enter, but we all entered. And that's the travesty. The latest acceleration through my, not only my hard research, see, they hijacked the timeline. The reason that I know that Rome is behind a lot of this is because they hijacked the timeline through paper. This is like daylight saving time. This is where they misaligned our astrological charts and so forth. So what the ancestors did, if you go back, you can see this scientifically, is they just, we are realigning the North Pole and pulling us into the vibrational frequency that we need right now, and nothing will touch it. That's why the world is erupting. The old energy just does not know what to do. But there was a huge acceleration where millions of us participated throughout the galaxy and universe after the 1950s military industrial complex was not only computed, but was accelerating. And as we go into this, they learn how to manipulate us even more through consciousness. And then when that didn't work, as our pineal glands started to wake up around the 60s, and we had an incredible eruption of consciousness throughout the planet, they created fluoride and color TV. Now the entire planet is surrounded by satellites, so that any direct connection that anybody who is not a master thinks that they have could be scrambled and hijacked. And most people end up in mental institutions instead of in the proper positions that they do, which are the visionaries of peace on earth. Ambassadors of what this really means, that Mother Earth actually is our mother and Father God is actually our mother. But if you understand woman is not a gender at all. It is both, and we are all one. Period. End of sentence. This was our birthright. Most light workers or ascended masters have probably lived very traumatic lives, and part of the reason that we chose to do this and we chose the team that we were going to be on is so that we could have as many experiences as we possibly could, so that when we start relating this in synchronicity to our ancient DNA, that this stuff actually comes flooding forth, and it is so powerful that you can't deny it. You can't deny it. In my case, I learned my faith and how to seek the face of God, including all the spiritual gifts, through Christianity, the very religion that was turned against us, hijacked, and literally took over galaxies as a result of this soul recycling machine. 67, the year I was born, was the summer of love, consciousness. I went to the whitest suburb in the United States in 73. We had 911. And we get to the year 2000 and we think that the earth is ending. It didn't end. But our time calendar did shift. The North Pole did realign. These are scientific facts. They're rushing to get to Antarctica for some antiquated technology because they don't understand how Ascended Master can go blast right through the satellites and get the direct connection not only to their ancestors, but to their higher consciousness and anything that's accessible through their ancient DNA. The Palladians came to save us so that we would not perish when they decided to flood the earth to get rid of us. Recreate everything down here, and they managed to do that. If you look at the coal industry, they're raping our mother by stripping off mountaintops. They are raping her by puncturing holes into her and sucking oil out that is meant to lubricate the surfaces that we walk on and live on. And we are yet blind, but yet we are waking up in millions and droves. One of the things that most people are going to deal with, and most people, is trying to integrate multidimensionality into their current lives. A lot of people start off talking to themselves. Other people can't get rid of the voices in their head. What are the voices actually saying? I know one guy, that a good friend of mine, who we know now that we were in the Knights Templar. I know that Apollo, as described in ancient scriptures, had a face as dark as the dirt, or whatever they described it, as dark as night. Socrates as well. There was a time where Lemurians were guided only by open hearts. There was no need to protect their emotional centers because they were all connected, and they knew how they were all connected. And see, with my DNA, I am one of those illegal mixes, and there are tons of illegal mixes. We were not supposed to be here. That's why I can say I'm an Ascended Master, and there's many of us out there. Many. We're illegal mixes. And what do I mean by that? We're test tube babies. We were the ones that and if you test my DNA, this is why they think we have junk DNA. We do not have that. There is nothing in God's creation that is junk but the bullshit that they keep synthesizing, including our cheese. But my DNA test tells me that I am white, European, British, Irish, black, Neanderthal, Asian, Egyptian, M23 from Madagascar. That is Lumeria. If I have all of this in my bones and all of this is in my Akash, and this is why God allowed us to govern the earth through the knowledge in the birthright that we were all one. That means I was here in the beginning. That means that my ancestors and millions of other ancestors were here and constructed this place for the glory of God. It was a living library. We all created it so that it would be peace, and anybody was able to enter. And as it is pressed in clay tablets, we allowed a certain species onto this planet, because I don't know really where they came from, to save their own planet, and they did exactly to our planet. They did not have permission to do what they did. It was forbidden. It was stolen. But now is a time where the energy is actually coming in, where people are coming into full remembrance. And this is firsthand experience, hanging out with the kids that are half out of their minds and asking them, what's going on in your mind? Well, I keep getting burned at the stake. Yeah. What about you? Well, I keep having this battle, and it's the Knights Templar. Yeah, okay. Talking to old people now, going on the YouTube, you will see things all over it. And that's why I say I am a universal. The renegade section that I am from is ninth dimension. And I don't know how many ninth dimension people we got down here, but I bet you there's thousands, if maybe a million. The galaxy is beyond anything that you can conceive. And it's going on in time. We are at a certain point in time. There are galaxies ahead of us, and there are galaxies behind us. We were the living library. We were supposed to be the seeds of everything good in this universe. All of God's creation, and it was hijacked. Because we were good Samaritans. We didn't want a whole planet to perish, because most of the people that came to planet Earth, that founded planet Earth, were refugees themselves from intergalactic wars that go on beyond anybody's sight. And what's happening now is that people are waking up, and they are remembering exactly who they were in past lives. And the cabal cannot get around it anymore. They cannot contain it anymore. Because as many, just like Jesus said, there's more with you in heaven than there is on earth. And that is a true statement, period. And what's done is actually already done. The party has already started in the galaxy. But we are in an astrological warp cycle right now. Trump went in. We got 10 years. 2022 has been repeated over from every source that I've gone to on the internet, is repeated through thousands of channels probably. We are in it. And what we do now is we have to raise our vibration to the point where we can just stomp them out and hopefully limit the bloodshed. All of my DNA had to be synchronized with these lifetimes. That includes all the white, black, Neanderthal, Asian, Egyptian, Lemurian, Babylonian. Everybody on the earth is related to me, and that's vice versa. I don't care if you're a new soul or old soul. They have a soul recycler, is basically what they have. They have stolen all of your birthright and all the glory and majesty that you are supposed to be living in. But now's a new time because, see, more people, every generation that will come after me will know that they're an old soul and they're here on a mission, and they're going to have a blast because it's going to be a wonderful, and it will be restored, period. The meek shall inherit the earth. This is already predetermined. And we are now past that point. We only saw Notre Dame, but right now France is getting 2 churches a day attacked. Christianity and the cabal is falling all over the place. But it's a fake Christianity. It is not real. It is not real. It is not what Christianity started out to do, because Christos, the frequency, is within all of us. It depended on whether you were called to service to God, or if you were just down here learning a lesson, or if you were down here designing a galaxy. It did not matter. If you were hosted on Earth, you were esteemed. It was very prestigious. It was gorgeous. Gorgeous. But now people are coming into their full, and you can't slow it down. How many times have I been here? I don't know. I think 67. Do I have a direct tie to the Temple of Apollo? I don't know. When I had my first tattoo, and these are synchronicities that you need to find in yourself if you're listening to this, it is so personal and so majestic that it can only be you. But I can remember I was putting ink on my body, and it was a tattoo, and I went and bought several books on sacred geometry, and I said it had to include all of my DNA. So I picked an African and an Indian symbol. What I thought was an Indian Zia, I had actually redesigned, and subconsciously I left it on my table, and I printed it out, and finally went to the tattoo shop. He says, "Can I use this as a template?" I says, "Absolutely." As I'm getting into full remembrance, what's happening now is I look at that symbol now, and I had modified it to actually match the Temple of Apollo. This is synchronicity. This is how you know your ancient DNA. It's an emotional imprint that you will never, ever, ever, ever lose. You can't lose it. It's your birthright. It's there. That's the other 90% of your brain. That's all the junk DNA that they don't want you to know about. And most of this information is actually pressed into the clay tablets. It's very easy to predict the future when you actually know exactly where you're at in your timeline. And that's why this is a master's channel, and it will be a master's channel. We're going to put you on the fast track so you can find your mission as I found my mission. And I went insane to do it. And many people do. You can go so deep. You get into numerology. You get into being guided by your ancestors in a multi-dimensional state. You can very easily go insane. That is what that ancient DNA is. That is the full tree of life. Everything that you have done since your soul, since your multi-dimensional soul has incarnated on this planet. And as soon as you get off, you're going to want to come right back. In every successive generation, we are now. The seal is done. It is blown wide open. You can go on right now and find 2-hour analysis on the sinful and horrific origins of the Gothic cathedrals and what's actually built into their sacred geometry, and how they were actually able to harness that, and through this example, how they were able to conquer the world and conquer your birthright and take all of that power for themselves. But they're done. They're done. If you are like me and you're an Ascended Master, you know exactly where you're at. I have not been on the dark side like that, but I have done dubious things to make sure that humanity survived. And when you come in the full remembrance of how just brutal it was, people want to romanticize where they think they landed, like with Ra, or with Horus, or with Belial, or with Enki, or with Enlil, or whatever. The war started down here almost immediately because this was the greatest planet in the galaxy, because it was going to be free will. And all of the universe contributed to this planet. And it has been destroyed because the people on this planet in the big G allowed access to save other people. humans. If you're like me and you're an Ascended Master and you are an illegal mix, you're a mutt. Your life is in shambles. You don't understand how you made it. You know you want to make a difference, and you know there's something bigger. Some people are here just to smile and spread energy. That's fine. That's great. That's all we really need is the golden rule, and we will pull ourselves out of this actually without firing another bullet if we can get enough people to understand just who they are. My DNA, the DNA of my ancestors, my mother, they are illegal, highly illegal mixes. This is why the earth was flooded, because earthlings in that mix was not supposed to have eternal life. When they hijacked the timeline, they hijacked the evolution of earth. From dust to dust was a real thing. We all took turns of eating and being eaten, and we were all in service to God, and this was the greatest service that we had on the planet. They even enslaved our chickens. It's absolutely horrible. But if you are an Ascended Master and you have as much of that DNA in you as I do, then you are highly illegal, and that was a highly mission impossible kind of thing, which is why you lived the life that you lived. There was no other way to get you here and to have the experiences enough to remember your ancient DNA, to reactivate it. You absolutely had to go through what you went through, and then you can start teaching as I do and will. Synchronicity in full Q is the most amazing feelings that I've ever had in my life. Magnetics. There is a guy out there, Cryon Lee, is doing a fantastic job. And that's one thing I want to talk about. All these people that are channeling and bringing things in, I am universal. When I see Ashtar with his little blonde hair and blue eyes, I know that he does not represent the galaxy. He represents one small part. The galaxy, there are energies that have no form whatsoever that are part of this universe and part of Earth. Everybody that's incarnated on this planet that has DNA, young souls and old souls, has a history and a birthright that is being hijacked. You need to be very wary of people that come and say who they are that are not talking like me, and I'm going to give you a great example of how I awakened through magnetic resonance my DNA throughout my entire life, and how all of that had to play in order for me to recognize my ancient DNA. And part of it was a job where I had to travel 50 out of 52 weeks to the entire continent of the United States. I've been in Mexico. I've made love in a bay under the pyramids of Tulum with a person named Taiwanda, Queen Tai, Wakanda, Mexico, Boys Town, Texas, my travels all over. Wherever you've been, now look 180 degrees out of phase, and you'll find out that I live in 313, about 180 degrees exactly out of Cairo. I am E1B1A, related directly to Ramses III, who was not related to Ramses II. But we did negotiate a peace treaty. But there were pharaohs that actually went across this earth like the United States right now with burn and scourge. And you wouldn't believe how closely related that eagle that is flying out of the United States is to Egypt. And they war like Egypt. And the Nubians and the Castians and all these other people that were down here were no better. And it is amazing that we are here now. If you've traveled like me and you know that you're an Ascended Master, then that resonance is exactly what you needed. The magnetic frequencies to actually come into your body and resonate with your body. There are specific things that you were there for, and you think it was just part of your job, but actually, in the end, you know you needed every breath that you could take. You needed every experience that you had to align these things in synchronicity with your ancient DNA and your ancient Akash. This is the wonderful, it is the most beautiful puzzle that I've ever figured out in my life. And just like I figured it out, every generation that is coming in here now will be able to figure it out for themselves. They are going to have an awakening for themselves. We must be there as masters to guide our children. My son is already saying he's an old soul and he's reincarnated on this earth several times. I've worked under a Pentastar for Chrysler. I've worked on top of salt mines with Ford, crystalline grids. I went around and drove around the city for 2 years tracing ancient, triangulating ancient crystalline grids. I meditated 4 hours a day. It was very... I had to find the answers. By the time I got to my answers, I didn't know what I was doing. I thought I went insane as a result, but it was really the trauma in my life. And if you want to talk about trauma, we can talk about the sexual assault that I experienced, just like the Catholic priest. I can talk about alcoholism and narcissism and being beat senselessly. I can talk about all the good times and the wonderful people that were in my life that showed me love beyond anything else. And one of them bought me my first Bible. But I'm a fucking renegade. Jesus was a renegade. I swear, I cuss, I smoke. I'm a fucking renegade. I am here to show a way and to allow other renegades to practice. Everybody has their lane. Not everybody's going to be like me or you. Some people are going to be called into ministry. Whatever it is, the killing will stop. But we might have to see a lot more tragedy. But until we can unify, it will continue to go. It will continue to get bloody. That's why I decided to start this channel right now. Today, 4/22. As I was going through my ascension, my code name, one of them was Apollo 22. Apollo, the Apollo tattoo that I put unconsciously on my arm. My first tattoo. Synchronicity. Missions. Energy has to resonate with you. Maybe you're here to teach art, which is a form of liberation to people that have been sexually assaulted. Maybe you're here to blow a horn like I do on my Facebook page and call out every disgusting, putrid thing that happens on this planet so people get smacked in the face. It's just how fucked up and controlled we actually are. Not everybody's like that. Not everybody can be like that. Some people are put here to put art and smile and open doors. Some people that you walk across the street might have reincarnated here more times than you actually seen the light of day. They're angels walking on the streets right now. You don't know who these people are. You cannot judge a book by its cover. However, the vibration and frequency around every person on this earth is about 8 foot wide. And as you're coming into ascension, you are now feeling not only them, but everything that's associated with them. You can discern almost immediately if they're telling the truth or they are not telling the truth. Me too, half the people are lying. Girls can be just as destructive as men when it comes to narcissism and mass destruction, emotional rape over and over and over again. These things are hidden, the mind controls. Good, faithful people that have been deceived and robbed of their birthright. But it's great because when they die, they don't die. And that's one of the most horrible lies that have ever been told on the face of the earth, that you had a price of admission to heaven. And that is just complete bullshit. That's why I'm a renegade. That's why I'm pissed off, because I know I was one of the original mixes down here and there is nobody that can tell me different. I am not crazy. I just have to have a belief system. Christians say that you can speak in tongues, that young people will have prophecies and you will dream dreams. All those spiritual gifts I got in my baptism. I'm glad I have them because I know how these work now in the astrophysical. Nobody has to intercede for me anymore. And it was because of that training I was able to connect really fast. I designed it. I put it there. Now I know the majesty of God because I've been seeking him all my life. Trying to make sense of the mess that I am and getting frustrated. More racism in the church than there is anyplace else. Racism was about 100,000 times worse than the rape that I experienced when I was 7 years old. Why would I design that in my life? Because I need to know what those priests are doing. I know what they're doing. I know what the pastors are doing. I know why they built temples and we're no longer in the fields like Jesus preached in the open. But the biggest falsehood ever is that nobody dies. We have free will. We come back over and over and over, and we don't know why people are here. There are many ascended masters that are at the top of the house and that are using their powers for evil. There are many that are up there that are using their powers for good. There are many that are walking around the street, and you don't know how many lives they've saved. You don't know who these people are. You can only feel going forward. You can't look at black, white, or anything else. Your discernment is the only thing that is going to save our ass, period. And as these feeling centers come on, then the fear goes down. The fear goes away because we know we're all one. And by taking care of ourselves, we're literally taking care of everybody that's around us because we are connected. We are one. We know Mother Earth. We know that it's okay to eat beef and chicken and to wear furs because this is the greatest service of those beings. To be here to take care of the host that takes care of them. It is absolutely brutal what has happened, and everybody's had their turn. I don't care what color you are. You cannot tell. Everybody was given the same thing. However, the secrets of life and eternal life, the same thing that Jesus said, you're fucking full of shit. That's exactly how he said it. The Christians around him described him as acting out so bad that if they did it, they would be excommunicated from the church. Go read about it and read about what happened after his crucifixion. He was a Messiah. He was a messenger, no different than me or anybody else that is bringing a message into earth that is fully multidimensionally integrated. And they're no different than the Christian philosophy of spiritual gifts. These are our birthrights. Unfortunately, they'll tell you you speak in tongues, but you need somebody else to interpret it. That's bullshit too. We are now in the full battle. We're in the end. And my prayer is that we can alleviate this stuff as fast as we possibly can. But the kids are coming out. I see a lot of hope. It's breaking. And many people are now coming into the full remembrance of their Akash, their beautiful relationship with our Creator, what Earth is supposed to be about, the beautiful things that were stolen and raped, why France had the fall, why people around the world, half of them are mourning and half of them are going and rejoicing because they know that it is now broken open. That the connections, your direct connection, your eternal birthright is now being restored. If you're a renegade of light like me, or a very old soul that comes from a very high dimension that has a stake, and see, half of me is of the earth, half of me is from the heavens. This is what they talk about with eternal life and what God gifted to all of us. And what some people tried to steal, and they did, and we brought it back. But it was war, it was carnage, it was butchery. That's why the galaxy is rejoicing right now from where we're at. But you can have invocations anywhere. Mine, I believe, the one that I was crucified with was my biggest dream. I had 3 stages. I had punk rockers, 13 bands on one night, Devil's Night, 1315. I saw Black Sabbath at the End of the World Tour at 831. I went insane because I was into numerology, my angel numbers, spinning a vortex at 33 RPMs. I did it 99 times a day. I meditated 4 or 5 hours a day. I knew how to pray. I knew how to fast from my Christian training. I had been baptized into that spirit, whatever it was in me, and I was still doing it, even though at the time I was filled with the Holy Ghost. I was having some gay exploration in my life. And they will tell you that is evil too, where woman is actually neither man or woman. Musical frequencies are catalogs. I can listen to an album. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be Black Sabbath. It could be Rare Earth. These ancient primitive sounds activate my ancient DNA, and it will do it for anybody that's a descendant master. If you're just learning this craft and you don't think you've been here that many times, you will not recognize this. But if somebody knows that they're a ascendant master and they want a super fast way to unlock it, you spend 33 times a day, you put on a record that brings out deep emotions in you, whether it's Rare Earth, Kiss, whatever it is. And you meditate, you spin, you drop, and then you meditate. You go as far up in the dimensions as your imagination will allow you to go. And as you do that, you will be going behind the veil and restoring your connection. But when you get there and you don't have guidance, what happens is oftentimes you will go insane. My insanity is related to my trauma. It was not related to my studies, and I had years and years and years of studies. And if you're like me and you're an ascendant master and you're in this category, then you have done the same thing. But everything that you have studied is related directly to your journey and nobody else's. Why you're here is contained in all of that. You designed it. If you're an ascendant master and you have great trauma, you will be able to turn that trauma around where you designed it, because it was mission impossible to get your DNA on this planet to have this kind of awakening and frequency alignment throughout the entire galaxy. But the masters that are in heaven, our ancestors, are taking care of the magnetic frequencies that we need. They're making sure that we're getting the radiation. They're making sure that the energy in the crystalline grid and things that they're chasing that they don't know anything about, that are absolutely obsolete. And we also know that this may play out in the skies. There's going to be first contact. But if somebody comes down here and says, Neil, you better say suck my dick, excuse my language. Okay, but that is exactly what you tell somebody that says that I am your God. No, you're not. You are not my God. What do you mean I'm not your God? You bow down. I just came down. Fuck you. Period. You are God's first fruit, God's first creation. You were here to create on your own. This is why this planet was created, so you could come here and learn and be your best be, which is a little g, God. Yes, there are people that are, God has a hierarchy, but there is absolutely no limit on what we can do down here with free will. If it's truly ours and we truly know what our birthright is and that we are all one. If the United States sends a bomb to Syria, you are actually blowing apart yourself. That is coming back on the United States with 80% of the psychotropics in the world are being treated. 22 veterans a day are blowing their brains out. 5 of them are blowing their brains out in the VA. You have a worldwide drug epidemic. The real Illuminati is pissed off now. See, these poser Illuminatis. See, the Illuminati is your ancient DNA. That's the true Illuminati. These fuckers are in there telling you all these other things, trying to get people to kill themselves. And you look, there's no water for kids in Detroit. They're blowing up bombs all over the place. The world's in a mess. Genocidal proportions any place that you look. If you start talking interdimensional, you're immediately put into an insane asylum. But this channel is going to be for mastery, and it's what I call the Master's channel. I'm going to be talking a lot about how you can research yourself on YouTube, through text, through wiki, finding your path. Your path is so unique to you that only you can design it. And oftentimes when you actually reach the point where you're in total integration, a lot of times you are sobbing beyond your control, because you know that you're the only one that has designed this plan for you. And when you just see how beautiful that plan is and you understand what was stolen from humanity, you drop to your knees. We are a beautiful, beautiful planet that has been plundered and just, raped. But there are, our originals. We don't have to worry about graphs. We don't have to worry about all of these conspiracy theories talking about how they're actually getting into our system, controlling our systems, how they're controlling us, because these things will start to right themselves. If we know where our birthright is, that we're going to know that the crystalline matrix has been restored, that telepathy is now back online. We're going to have to learn, Ascended Masters, especially how the viruses enter our brains, how they will start to do all sorts of things like synthetic marijuana, fluoride, a neural toxin that calcifies your pineal gland. And if you remember Prince wore a sunglass on his third eye, and there was a reason that he called holograms demonic. Multidimensional living oftentimes will send an artist like Marvin Gaye into exile for years, or Bird, or whoever. This is very normal for Einstein to go into a closet for 2 weeks, or Tesla, and all the things that were given to us as a birthright so that we could create the most fantastic place in the galaxy where everybody had contributed. Your contract here is your contract here. Your mission's here. When you're talking to people and you're a master, a lot of times the only way that you need to talk to them is smile and open the door. You do not know how old the soul is. There are many people walking around, and this is one of the tricks that they play, see, that has a soul of a 13-year-old and they're in a 90-year-old body, and they have a soul of a 90-year-old and they're in a 10-year-old body. You can't tell. You can't tell. The fight is hard as hell for a renegade. It ain't all this pie in the sky. Okay, let's take a moment. Now, I love that. If you're called to yoga, however you're expending your energy, that is what you're supposed to do. This is your design. This is supposed to be your best adventure ever in your life, period. It is majestic. What I saw on it, if you really want to know, you can check out Epic of Errol. That is on Errol Jennings. I'll put a link here. It's 4 hours long. It details my entire journey in all of my life through my trauma, as well as my discovery of the ancient secrets, going insane, seeing insane, what Judgment Day is actually going to look like, seeing the wonderful and the majestic beauty of this earth and this galaxy, and how these guys have managed to enslave not just us, but most it's just nasty. But the ones that are ahead of us, thank God, they're coming out, and as they're coming out, they're sending their energy and their prayers to us, because this is the real exodus, folks. The real exodus was our half of our families leaving this planet because it was literally war torn. They were going to flood it, get rid of all the evidence, war crimes, shit. Live your truth. Your connection to Earth is absolutely essential right now. As I was saying, smiling, opening a door, being concerned about a friend, checking in on your children, even though if you can't be what you want to be to your children, it doesn't matter. When you know what's happened to us, that's why Jesus said that it's going to go easier on Sodom and Gomorrah than the people that are doing these things to us. And it was true. We have a number of solar flares that are going to be coming at us, and right now I know that our ozone, our protective layer, is about, scientifically, this is all out online. It's down about 25%. Space junk is absolutely incredible, but we're going to have new particles coming in here, and they're already seeing these flares out in the distant galaxies, and they already know that they're coming in. They don't know if they're going to cause tidal waves, mass destruction, I don't know what's going to wake the rest of the world up, but the people that are controlling us have to go. Our expanded consciousness is all available now. I was moving into my light body. I dropped a lot of pounds, but like I said, going too far is literally going too far. We are still kind of in between 3D and 4D, 5D, whatever. You could live wherever you want to, but you're still walking on planet Earth, and there is carnage down here, and there needs to be reconciliation and reconciliation soon. But channeling is something that is real. Praying is something that is real. All faiths also say thou shalt not kill. The golden rule is all we needed. That was the only rule that was actually taught to Jesus. Allah is Yahweh. There's no difference between these gods. There is only one first cause. What you're praying to oftentimes is a Lord who's absolutely full of himself, but it was an absolute conspiracy what they did, and it goes back to the founding of this earth. They started warring almost immediately over this earth. The acceleration came throughout time as the intergalactic federation of people that were charged of actually designing and being stewards over this earth tried to take control of the system several times. There was a treaty, there was a war. We can read all about this on Earth. These are not things that I'm actually pulling out from, and you can go on the line. And again, now, before I wrap this up, here's the most important thing. You have to go on feelings and vibrations only now. You cannot tell who's who. You cannot look at a white person, black person, gay person, trans person, I don't care what kind of person. You cannot look at them and trust that they are going to be who they are. There is a division that is coming to this earth like nobody has ever seen before. And all you have to do is look at Trump in the United States and how most of the people feel around the world about him. But we can go to Brazil, we can go to Macron, we can go to Brexit, we can go that the world is just fucking melting down all around us. But vibration, what they don't tell you is that we have an 8-foot energy field around us. That's why when a white cop pulls over a black kid and the black kid gets so nervous, it actually amps that cop up because they can each sense each other's fear. And when that kid takes off, the cop shoots. These are vibrations. These are manipulations that they have learned a long time in how to control us. And it's just getting worse through news, through telepathy, through mind control, through our cell phones, whatever. They can program at will. Luckily, we've been at work for a long time. Our kids are actually reprogramming, especially the autistic kids. They're reprogramming. Okay? You know when you're listening to the right message because you light up like a Christmas tree. There is no way around it. I listen to Barbara Messiniak's Bringer of the Dawn. I absolutely know now that my active ancient DNA is totally activated and integrated into the multidimensional to the point where now only through a number of therapy and treatments for my advanced trauma am I able to sort out my belief systems and what's real and what's not real. And my work was real. I have a legitimate, and many people have a legitimate ancestor connection. And for me, it's like they impress on me. I can smell my father walk by when he wants me to pick up a book. I'll pick up a book and go to the exact paragraph that I was seeking the knowledge for. And he left me the Library of Alexandria in a house. And it taught anything from history to economics to computer programming, and my education also reflects that. Everything that you do on earth is related to your ascension and where you fall as the Ascended Master, as whatever you're going to be in this life. That's what happened. All of my specialized knowledge allows me to imagine and take apart systems that most people have no clue how to take it back. That's why I'm talking to Ascended Masters, people that have built assembly plants, that have computer science degrees, that have business degrees, that understand finance. The people, these things that you don't think is related to your spirituality is actually what you need to figure out and decipher what they've done. And everybody has DNA, and everybody goes back to a different place. And that's why I say this is a universal message, because everybody's experience on Earth was supposed to be unique. That's the way it was. But everybody looked out from everybody else, because if we knew that if we lobbed a bomb over there, that we were killing ourselves, because we are all connected and Mother Earth is taking care of us. There are lots of false people out there. When you start listening to a video, don't force yourself to listen to. I'm telling you, when you're listening to something that is meant for you to hear, you will light up like a Christmas tree. The magnetic resonance, your ancient DNA, and everything in you. There are several good messages out there that I don't resonate with, but somebody needs to hear them. There's other ones out there that are absolutely from somebody that is not talking universally, galactically. Specifically Palladians with the blonde hair and a little jewel. Yes, a lot of Palladians look like that. But Pallades is a gigantic universe full of mostly refugees that were running from other planets and intergalactic wars and planets that had been blown up as we were evolving. And the whole galaxy is evolving now. So there is no reason to believe that these things are not possible for everybody, and these gifts are built into us, and this is what they don't want us to know. That we have a direct connection to all of our lives, all of our ancestors, and God directly. Period. There is no confession. I can go back and I can talk about Egypt. I can go back and I can talk about Rome. You verify these things by the feelings that you get inside you. You know that they're true or not by it ringing up inside of you. You know you're lying. You feel very uncomfortable. Most light workers on my level cannot tell a lie to save their lives. When you're telling the truth and it's resonating throughout your whole body, your ancient DNA, and the spiritual side of yourself, looking at things like Horus from 5 sides, then you absolutely know that what you're feeling in that ancient DNA emotional imprint is absolutely 100% correct. You have been here a number of times. You have warred. You have died. You have suffered from the plague. You have had your head chopped off. You might have died in the jungles with Leopold as he was chopping off arms and legs. You may have been a slaver and you may have been on a slave ship. I have been everything. It was the only way to get the illegal mix through. Everything you read from the law of Moses all the way up is illegal mixes, how you have to keep your bloodlines pure, and that was total bullshit. So, it was designed in at a certain point so that everybody was able to experience it. It was blessed from the God Almighty, and he says, well, if you're going to win that planet, you're going to have to run it by free will if you want it to stay free will, or we can come in and we can intervene. And it was chosen that love would actually win this war. The sons of light and dark. One of the first recorded wars on the face of the planet that you can read in the Sumerian text. Your missions are your missions. I cannot tell you why you're here. I cannot tell you what to do. I can tell you that we have free will and the meek shall inherit the earth, and I'm a fucking renegade. A lot of people like to spend time in meditation, and this is where their teaching ministry is. I'm talking specifically to advanced people that are on a hell-bent rant. Exceptional people out there doing exceptional research and showing it their work on YouTube right now. I can't get over the amount of information that is pouring in and out. And that's why we need Harmonic Defiance right now. This is my charter. This is the Detroit station. I'm 313. I'm 333. Ascended Master 442 is my life number. I woke up on that number every day for the better part of my life and went right back to sleep. 2112 from Russ. I practice every day for the better part of a decade after school. That number means service to God. Numerology is real. Our pineal gland is real. Our spirituality is real. That makes us pray and lift our voices to God. But we're praying to a Lord, not a God, not with Big G. Big G is really pissed off. The galaxy is really pissed off, but this is free will. This is the only way that we can keep free will, and we are now back online, and the majesty and the celebration has already began in heaven. The Federation has control. Now it's up to our light workers around the galaxy and around this world to put the put the final kibosh on it. And we do that by lifting up everybody's spirits. We do that by lifting everybody up. We lift them out of poverty. We ease their burden. We share equally throughout this universe, and we restore the planet as fast as we can and restore our divine birthright. But it's happening anyways. It's going to happen because we are evolving our DNA at a rapid rate. There is no way to stop it. No way. If you're not a master, then tune into this channel. I'm going to be talking about synchronicity, how I got there, what it was like on the other side of the veil. Okay, but this channel really is for masters, because I found out that my experience is such that I really need to get other masters into the same mental capacity as I to actually think, not only access the Akashic, but actually use your imagination through your entire experience, through the trauma, as well as practical experience. I wrote a business plan. I raised $1 million. I launched a modular home factory. I've done so many things in my life that I can think that big, and I don't know where he got it from. I didn't know my father after 5 years old, but I knew his love for me, but he did the same thing. And I had no idea that he owned a building company and that he was writing business plans, and his brilliance and his thinking and his philosophy. I was never exposed to him after 5. I met him after death in 2013, and that would be the beginning of my final awakening, my drive, where I was able to put 2 and 2 together, and everybody has that. I cannot answer the questions for you. What I can say is that it took a lot of meditation. It took a lot of reading. It took a lot of faith. It took a lot of the astrological numbers, relying on other expert people, especially in astronomy. If you have real astrologers and you feel that, you know exactly what they're talking about. Not exactly, but you have to let their experts bring in their messages as well and know what the sacred stuff and the ancient stuff is, and we will find our way out. We are in warp drive. We are in warp drive. We are in warp drive. What we're seeing right now, we are in warp drive, and that means it's going to be total destruction. Total destruction means we get to rebuild. It's actually a good day. It's really a good day. All our senses are coming online, mine in. If you are a mulatto, a mix like me, my mom is from Lemuria. We know this. M23, Madagascar, first slaves in here, probably sold on Wall Street, probably emancipated. I'm sure I got blood that came over with the pilgrims that were running from King James, and as well as the Church of England, which is related to the Catholic Church, the people that they have enslaved. But see, when people die and they take those faiths, and as we come into higher consciousness, see the soul recycler that they got is becoming obsolete, and they know that they're not going to be there. As people get reborn into this planet starts to ascend, that they acknowledge that they need to be raised into not their faith, but their birthright, to have faith in our ancestors to guide us, and to have faith in God that he has mercy on us is kind of misnomer, because God has already given us the blessing to create whatever we wanted to on Earth, and that's why it is a free will planet, and it's a beautiful planet in total creation, in total operation. This thing lights up like a beacon throughout the entire universe. And this is also reported several times in text. Don't believe me? Go out and do your research. We are all one. My ancestors are now with me. If you're a mix, you're a bridge. But this whole earth was seeded that way. Our human beings, number 5. The final imprint before the true exodus off of this planet. Everybody had everlasting life. Everybody had the chance to develop and to win back the glory of what once was. It's been a long journey. If you talk to my Akashic tables, if you talk to me personally, I'm just getting to the point where it's going to be a fantastic journey. I have a lot of work to do on myself, and if you're like me that's just been beaten brutally by the system, that's been beat up by life, and you're barely getting it out, whether you're a cutter, whether you're a drinker, whether you're a gambler, whether you're eternally depressed and you know you have a out-of-the-world connection. This is why I'm starting this channel. This is what's going on. I call this Harmonic Defiance 101, but this literally is going to be a master's channel because I just don't believe that we have time to fuck around anymore. We really just don't have time to mess around. Your truth is your truth. There's a lot of hard truth out there. I have to live my truth. Everybody has to live their truth in order for this to happen. There are people out there that are malicious. There are people out there that want us gone. They're trying to exterminate. They don't want this enlightenment. They don't want this consciousness to come up because they know that the earth is going to change. But guess what? It's changing anyways. It's going to change. Well, if we stick in these vibrations that we have, see, I tolerate it. I'm a whistleblower. I have to talk about that little baby girl that left her son in diapers for 2 weeks. And the kid died. And all these things that are happening, I'm a light worker that way. Not everybody has that commission, and that's okay. I can't tell you why you're here. Only you could tell you why you're here. And when you find out, if you're a master like me and you find out, man, you're like, you're blown away at just how majestic this is. It is truly, truly mind-blowing. And I was an agnostic. I hated God. I loved God. I mean, I've been all over the place. I've been white, black. I've been, you can watch Epic of Errol. I'll post it on here maybe, or you can go over to erroljennings.com. But I'm telling you that the time is now. The eagle is fallen. Okay, the cabal has been busted open. And those that are masters are seeking these things, they're coming up to their own conclusions now, because literally I can literally go across the internet in a couple hours and find things that, like, how did I know King James changed the Bible to support the slavery of the corporation that he started in Jamestown, Virginia? That it was him that started the corporation, brought the law that allowed slavery in the continent of the United States. The Pilgrims were running from the Church of England and that dirty motherfucker. And now people can trace their lineages. Man, when this wakes up and this junk DNA becomes somebody's DNA and they know for sure who they are in this universe, in this galaxy, on this earth, things will forever, ever change. And God's love and beauty will forever reign, and we will be everything that we want it to be. See, because it's us. It's us. We're small G's. We're not big G. Big G, you can't see them. You can't see that far back. You can't see that far ahead. But you can see into the ether. You can see into the multidimension. You can call on every experience that you've had on earth since you've been here. Some souls only been here once. Some souls have been here 10 times. If you're like me, I came out of the clay pot. That's the message. Take it home. Drive it forward.